Yesterday, Nintendo revealed lots more information about their upcoming Switch 2 console, including hardware details and lots of games. Honestly, it left me wondering, when did Nintendo become a Me Too brand? Let's go through it. 4K HDR like PlayStation and Xbox since the last 8 years, an optional camera like PlayStation iToy 22 years ago, a built-in microphone like Nintendo had before on Wii U, DS and 3DS, and the original NES fact fans. A mouse like Dreamcast and PC, voice chat like the last 20 years of Xbox and PlayStation. Where is the Nintendo that brought us motion control, the first vibration and controller, the first touchscreen gaming 3 years before iPhone Mode 7, double-screened, handheld, and of course the first hybrid console, original Switch. There's something so disappointing seeing the Big N hold up competitors' features from the last couple of generations as reasons to buy their new generation hardware. And that's what the offer and the strategy appeared to be. Did you notice that they never explained the hybrid console concept? They didn't even say something like, now you can play Cyberpunk at home or on the go. This tells me that they think that they're talking to converts, that is, for people who already love the Switch. Without genuine hardware innovation or new ideas in gameplay, the offering appears to be, here's the Switch you love, plus a bunch of features that the competitors have had for the last couple of generations. Now, I can understand their lack of hardware innovation if the software lineup is stellar. After all, the latest PlayStation and Xbox generation is largely more of the same, albeit with some important innovation around things like quick starts and fast loads. So what do we have? Well, starting with the positive is the brand new Donkey Kong. And this looks absolutely fantastic. This is what we need to excite players for a new generation. It's been a while since this guy was leading a new generation, and you can see in the gameplay that it's pushing the hardware, meaning we're getting gameplay that probably wasn't possible on the original Switch. It's also not trying to be something it's not. They're not copying, they're being Nintendo. Brilliant. On to Mario Kart, which is now called Mario Kart World. And the open world nature is also likely to be something that was too much for the original Switch. But I think this is a huge risk to take with their best-selling title. We've seen the open world approach with games like Burnout and Forza. So much like the hardware, this feels like Nintendo following rather than leading. And with Burnout, it didn't improve the formula, it diluted it. The risk is to lose Mario Kart's immediacy. Driving around with mates looking for a place to take a photo? I don't think that sells consoles. More on this new Mario Kart at a later date. There's a new Kirby game and a new Hyrule Warriors that looked cool, but without the hardware bringing genuine gameplay innovation, I was expecting more big guns. A new Zelda or Splatoon or Smash Brothers or Animal Crossing or, heaven forbid, a new Nintendo IP. There was a surprise new game from Software called The Duskbloods. It's welcome and looks good, but I feel that fans of this studio will be wondering how much better it might have been on a more powerful console. It reminded me of when Resident Evil 4 launched on the original GameCube, back when Nintendo were courting core gamers. Indeed, there was a lot about this presentation that made me think Nintendo were courting PlayStation and Xbox gamers. One thing that they left out from their presentation was pricing. 400 notes for the console, which puts it above the PS5 Digital Edition and more than 50% higher than the Xbox Series S, which is apparently more powerful. Mario Kart looks to retail at a staggering €90 or 75 quid for a physical edition. The camera is $50, the Joy-Cons are now $90. I'm left pondering a question that I often ask as a game director, which is, who is the audience? At these prices, it's not a must-have for families. This group are unlikely to be moved to buy it because Zelda looks prettier, or that Mario Party now has some iToy-like games with an additional $50 camera accessory. And in fact, if we look at the Switch 1 pricing, it's still only 20 quid less than it was when it launched. There's no reason to think that this £400 price point isn't going to stay for the whole generation, and that's a big amount to spend for a family. Despite the high cost, it's not powerful enough for a primary gamer's console, and you'd feel cheated if you could play Cyberpunk and Street Fighter with improved graphics at a lower price on PlayStation and Xbox. Not to mention that there are way more games on those platforms tailored for your tastes, even if Dusk Bloods does look pretty cool. For more traditional gamers, the Joy-Con controllers don't cut it. We have to spend an additional £75 for a controller that comes as standard with the PlayStation and the Xbox. That makes the Switch 2 practically the most expensive console you can buy. For this audience, the Switch was always a secondary console, but at these prices, that makes less sense. For Nintendo fans, the offering feels paltry for the cost. How long before a new Zelda is made for this hardware? When will Animal Crossing get a new entry? Playing old GameCube games with the new controller sounds nice, but it also doesn't seem likely there are many to play on day one for the monthly fee you have to pay. All of this exposes the challenge that Nintendo have always had with a hybrid console. By selling something for everybody, you end up making everybody pay for everything, whether they use it or not. That is, a player who doesn't use handheld mode is nonetheless paying for the Joy-Cons they'll never use, which include expensive gyros and now this new mouse functionality. The capacitive touchscreen, the 1080p video screen, the magnetic attachments and so on. If you only play in handheld mode, you're paying for the dock and the new fan. You're paying for the 4K functionality you'll never use. The price point may be fair when you add up all of the components, but I bet that the average user, whichever audience they belong to, will be paying for a lot of features that they'll never use. Now, there's clearly an industry trend for the cost of games to become more expensive, and Nintendo won't be the only ones raising the prices, and perhaps it's the logical point to do it at the start of a new console generation. But even if it's justified, it doesn't make the proposition very attractive. What am I getting for so much more extra money? Now, the justification might be that the cost of making games has become more expensive, see my other videos, but people also understand that the cost of movies has become more expensive and the cost of making music has become more expensive, but we're not paying more for music and movies. As a developer, what I expect from Nintendo is to be given something to inspire me, some point of innovation, be it hardware, strategic, or even marketing. But I don't see it with the Switch 2. And in fact, you can see it with the third-party games that were announced in the Nintendo Direct. They're largely ports. And I don't know, the hybrid model with the handheld, of course it's still appealing, but Steam Deck now allows me to do the same thing. I don't know, maybe I'm old-fashioned, but there's something about handheld games which is more than just being able to play a console game on the move. I feel like they're starting to miss the mark. Nintendo have had some fantastically successful generations like SNES, 3DS, Switch and Wii, and they've had some less successful ones like the Wii U and the commercially unsuccessful GameCube. Which one will this belong to? I think the clue is in the title and it runs contrary to their claim in the Direct. Switch 2 looks exactly like Switch 1 with minor improvements, and that they hope that people who like Switch will like this too. Will that be enough to repeat the success of Switch 1? I doubt it. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments.